Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Trends. This is episode number 4, and in this episode, we are going to cover Act 4 of Chapter 1. This act is fairly shorter in comparison to the previous acts, but it's loaded with information about what is yet to come. A lot of new terms and terminologies are mentioned, and we learn a lot of secrets and information regarding our dear magistrate Jinshi, who's been playing behind the scenes up until now. And we learn some information about the dragon Jue. We also see a return of the villain we fought in the previous episode, Scar. After the incidents that happened in Kishi village, we return back to Jinsho City to talk to Chixia about solving the last piece of the puzzle. The last piece was the sundial. The sundial was supposed to show a location where we were supposed to meet somebody. After solving the puzzle, we find a secret message inside. The message points to a location at the Grand Library, which is in the city hall. The Grand Library is a storehouse of information dating back to the pre-Lament area. Since it's dating all the way back to that time, there's a good chance that there's information about our existence, considering the fact that we might have been a great descendant of one of the long-lost heroes. After we reach the city hall, we find our way into the Grand Library. The Grand Library is off limits to majority of the residents in Jinsho City. It requires a special clearance, but since we have the highest security clearance given by Sanyo herself, we are able to enter. But after we enter, we are still faced with a trial of sorts, where we have to solve a puzzle in order to be able to enter the actual archives. The puzzle is fairly simple. We have a sonogram sort of object which has 5 different keynotes. We have to find these keynotes, which are like musical shaped objects, and bring them back and have it resonate with the sonogram. Once it's resonated and completely finished, it will open the way into the archives. Seems fairly simple enough, right? Find the musical notes, bring them back to the sonogram, and it'll let you pass. But that's where things got a bit weird. While we were trying to find musical notes, we found that some of them were guarded by tacit discords. Jinsho City has a barrier running around it 24/7, which doesn't let any tacit discords inside. So how did tacit discord enter the Grand Library of all places? It's one of the most secure places inside the whole city, and only a few people have access to it. Something smells fishy. Considering that we are a smart rover, we figure that someone is behind this, and we don't pay much attention to it for the time being. We find the musical notes and bring it back to the sonogram while eliminating all the tacit discords which we encountered along the way. We are pretty strong too, so it's a fairly menial task. Once we found all the musical notes, we bring it back to the sonogram and it lets us into the archive. When we enter the archive, we find the guy who was behind all this. Yep, that's right. It's our boy Scar. He's pretty overconfident right now because he thinks he's got the jump on us. But little does he know, there's a surprise waiting for him. Our queen enters, Magistrate of Jinjo, Jinshi. I call her queen because come on now, she's beautiful. Anyways, she lays the smackdown on Scar with all her dragons in tow, but that slimy sly bastard has a backup plan. Considering his powers involve the powers of teleportation, he wants to slither away. But hey, our rover ain't gonna let that happen a second time. We lay the smackdown on Scar for the second time, but this time he doesn't stay down, nor does he run away. He changes into a goddamn black sheep. Not the cute kind you find in farms either. A fucking abomination. An aberrant nightmare. Scar appears to actually be trying to kill us this time. Considering that fact, we kick it up a notch and show the aberrant nightmare who's the real boss. Using a series of coordinated attacks from the inside and the outside, we break Scar's domain expansion. Oh, and also, we kick that sheep's ass. Scar has finally been captured, but the captured Scar is hella curious now. He's curious how we figured this out. Little does he know, our rover is an extremely smart individual And Jinshi is an even smarter one. Remember that sundial we were talking about earlier? The one that led us to the Grand Library. It turns out that that was not the only thing that sundial gave us. The sundial also had a separate information which was showcasing a separate meeting time and place, which our rover figured out because the center needle was casting a shadow on two separate coordinates. Considering that the city hall was at the center of Jinsho City, which also resembled the centerpiece on the sundial. And this meeting point was set up by Madam Magistrate Jinshi herself. We met with Jinshi on the night before we went to the Grand Library. That's how we were able to launch this coordinated attack on Scar. Scar did not expect this and was caught off guard. But this was not all. Our meeting with Jinshi resulted in some very interesting information. She was absent from Jinsho City for 3 days, and she explains that the reason why she was not there was because she was searching for the Sentinel Jue. Apparently, the Sentinel Jue had gone missing, which is not common because the Sentinels are supposed to reside in their own realms. The Sentinel was kidnapped. The Sentinel was kidnapped by none other than the Fractsidus, the evil group which Scar belongs to. Scar is an overseer of the Fractsidus. Jinshi explains to us the importance of the Sentinel in every region and tells us that she shares some memories with the Sentinel. Sentinel Jue showed her some signs of rover us arriving in this area and directed her to do all these things. But since the Sentinel has been absent, she hasn't been getting any clear-cut suggestions or ideas of what to proceed with next, so she's been trying to find the Sentinel and bring her back. After hearing her story, we decided to join her side and help her subjugate Scar. The whole point of this was to figure out what the end goal of the Fractsidus group is and to find out why they kidnapped Sentinel Jue. Back from the flashback, it's time to interrogate the captured Scar. We interrogate Scar and ask him a bunch of questions, and this is where he drops the bomb of information. We ask him 3 main questions. Question number 1 was, why did you kidnap Sentinel Jue? The reason why they kidnapped Sentinel Jue because Sentinels have the ability to predict and foresee the future, and it would be a big dent in their plans if the Sentinel intervened and figured out what they were doing, so they wanted to eliminate that possibility. Question number 2 was, what was their end goal? The answer Scar gave to this question was pretty damn terrifying. As all of you know, there are more different classes of tacit discords, starting from common, elite, overlord, calamity. The whole idea of the Fractsidus was to revive a being known as the Ternodian. Ternodian sits above every other class of tacit discords. They are a world-ending apocalypse kind of being. They are one of the primary reasons why the Lament happened. Yes, you heard it right. The Fractsidus wants to recreate the Lament catastrophe. According to Scar, the Lament is like a new beginning. It's like a fresh start to reform the whole world as it is right now and begin fresh. So pretty much the end of the world type of situation. Our third and final question to him was, why follow us? His answer to that was pretty simple. He realizes our value as an asset and how strong we are. He wanted to develop a mutual understanding between us in hopes that he could convince us to join his cause. After we ask him all our questions, we decide to put Scar in jail, but before he leaves, he tells our magistrate Jinshi a little secret about Jue. What that secret is, we'll know in a little bit. Jinshi proceeds to explain to us about a secret organization known as the Black Shores. The Black Shores is a group of coveted, crazy researchers who study the Lament. They've also been studying us for a long time. They use this Blake Bloom as an identification mark for their members, and they wanted us to contact them so that they can figure out where the resurrection of the Ternodian is taking place. They also came up with the technology which predicts laments so that we can prevent or avoid future laments. Apparently, they've been studying us for a long time too, so that might be a good resource to find more information about our past. We kept looking at the picture of the Blake Bloom which Jinshi gave us, and all of a sudden, we had another vision. Although it was a fairly short-lived vision, we see ourselves confronting Sentinel Jue. But the only difference is we are wearing the Blake Bloom. This might have been Sentinel Jue's way of letting us know that we should probably go see the people at the Black Shores. Jinshi also lets us know that she has a message for us from Jue. The message was, head to the North for Barons and meet General Jian. Shit's about to go down. Following this, Rover and Sanua take their leave, only for us to witness the introduction of a new character. This person is Jinshi's close friend and best counselor, and the person who actually invented and designed those puzzles. So she's the smart one here. Her name is Chang Li. Both Chang Li and Jinshi are going to be playable characters in the 1.1 version update. Chang Li asks Jinshi what Scar told her about Sentinel Jue. That's when she tells her the secret. Scar told Jinshi that she would have to fight Jue, and Jue says that it would be the fight that determines the future of Jinzhou. Although Jinshi was not too surprised by Scar's remark because, as you know, she resonates some of her memories with Jue, so she already has an idea of what's going on. But the real question is, will she really be able to fight Jue when the time comes? But to quell our suspicions, she goes on to say that she is the magistrate of Jinzhou appointed by the Sentinel itself. She is going to be a key player in the prophecy of Jinzhou's future, and the fight between her and Jue is only a precursor. And that brings us to an end of Act 4 of Chapter 1. What do you guys think about this act? It does bring about a lot of new information and some key players that are actually making their move. This will segue into the new acts where we actually meet up with the Blackshore organization and General Jian at the battlefront. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Storytime with Trins. A huge shout out to everyone for helping me reach 250 subscribers. It's a big milestone for me and I appreciate you a lot. For all you newcomers, please consider subscribing to my channel as I'll be doing a lot of Wuthering Waves content and I don't want you guys to miss out. Hope you guys have a great day and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.